Well, good evening, all. How are you? Greetings from Northern Ireland. Samuel here, and today is the 10th of September. So, the topic of our sharing this evening is about meditation, how meditation greatly enhances our lives, our relationships, and bridges beliefs with spirituality. First of all, let me say it's an honor and a privilege to do these. So many people have been asking recently about the benefits of meditation. How does it work? What does it do? And indeed, why it works. Why it's essential for us to set aside a daily time for meditation. When is the best time to meditate, etc., etc., etc. So today or this evening, what I endeavor to do is to answer many of those questions. And I thank those people who have sent me questions along those lines as to what is meditation, how does it work, and so forth. So first and foremost, just some announcements. Those of you who are interested in having one-to-one consultations, I'm always delighted to help those who are ready to help themselves. And as you know, my motto actually is healthy self, heal thyself. And that is, of course, the entire objective of these one-to-ones that I do, but also these videos. And of course, the upcoming live webinar Q&A sessions, which will be starting this Saturday. That is Saturday the 14th, I think it is. Yeah, 14th. For those of you who are new, there's my motto. That's my card. And what that actually says is healthy self, heal thyself. Okay, so what I wish to get into is, of course, today's topic. But before I do so, for those of you who are new on here, you and for everybody else who's not, what we do is we start with what I call the relax I am within mantra, but it's also a breathing exercise. And what it actually does is it balances the left and the right brain. It brings us into this child state of consciousness. What does that mean? That state of being in a wee world of our own when we were kids. And how does that work? Well, what it actually is and how it works is that it balances the left and the right brain, which is the logical with the sympathetic or the creative, and the male and the female. It brings the head into harmony with the heart. It brings the me into harmony with the I that is within. It brings the ego into harmony with the soul. So we're going to do that right now. And the objective actually is to help people by providing them a very simple breathing exercise and mantra that they can use any time of the day. Because as we're going about our day, we have these challenges which may come up, issues perhaps that we're like, for example, a classic example is a traffic jam. We're stuck in a queue and we need to be somewhere. There's not much we can do when we wait, is there? And to get out of here and to come into here, and it's known, as I say, as the relax I am within. This was actually given to me 21 years ago by a gentleman called Wally Minto, since departed this scene 19 years ago. And Wally's mission was to help people actually live from that inner conscious awareness that they actually had as children before they were educated or programmed out of it, by default or by design. We'll not go into that. So Wally passed this on to yours truly and a number of other people. And he also passed on the concept of the heart hug. What is the heart hug? That when we hug people, we should be hugging left side to the left side, left cheek to the left cheek. Why is that? Because the vibrational frequency of the heart is much, much greater than the other side. The vibrational frequency of the heart is 5,000 times more powerful, of course, in electromagnetic output than the brain. So it's an incredibly powerful thing to do. So those are the two things that Wally Minto passed on to yours truly and others. To teach the world, to heart hug, and to teach the world the relax I am within mantra and breathing exercise. So that's what these videos are about. That's what the upcoming webinars and Q&A sessions are going to be about. That's what my one-to-ones are about, are to help people rediscover the truth that is within themselves. And please, before I go any further, I want to say that I am not a guru. The objective actually is for us all to remember that we're all gurus. We are all gurus, G-U-R-U, when we remember who we are, what we are, and why we're here. So the objective is to give people the tools so that they can assist themselves in returning back to the guru that is within themselves, so that they live from their own intuition, their own inspiration, their own innate sense of inner conscious awareness, i.e. become one's own guru. And that's the objective of these videos, my one-to-one consultations for people, and of course the upcoming live webinar Q&A sessions. We're so excited about that, so excited about that, with my co-founder, Matthew David Manai, and other facilitators who will be like mentors from various backgrounds and varying ages, I might add, from this side of the inverted commas Atlantic, from Ireland, UK, and of course from North America, and wherever else. We welcome mentors from Australia, and but they obviously have to be of the one consciousness, and I say the one, capital O-N-E, one consciousness. Okay, so let's get into this relax I am within, and then we'll get through today what we want to share with you. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth as we repeat the words. So in through the nose, relax, 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 relax. I am, I am, I am, I am. Within, 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 within. Okay, thank you. And a very, very, very good exercise is to write that on post-it notes or post-it sticky notes and stick them up all over your home, wherever you're going to see them on a regular basis, where you can see them as a reminder to breathe and to repeat the words, relax, I am within. Okay, so moving forward, before I go into the topic of today, which is meditation, today I was asked, well, a few days ago, and today was another example of a few days ago, about a week or so ago, I talked about the 5 stages of the ascension process. Now, I trust you can all see that, where we have at the top, number 1, awakening, number 2, breakdown, number 3, awakening, number 4, breakthrough, and number 5, enlightenment. Okay, an opportunity today. It wasn't very pleasant for the individual, but it was an honor and a privilege to try to help. The most crucial stage of this ascension process is the middle stage, which is the awakening. Why is that the most crucial? Well, I want you to imagine that amnesia is over here and enlightenment is over here. And there are 3 other stages between that. We've got breakdown, awakening, breakthrough, and then enlightenment. And what that really is that amnesia is that state of being unconscious of who we actually are. We've forgotten. Enlightenment is that we have completely remembered who we are, what we are, and why we're here. So let's imagine that amnesia stage is a place of fear, and enlightenment is not only a place of light in mind, enlightenment, but it's also the place of love, inner peace, contentment, and that innate inner sense of knowingness which we were born with, and the original intention for the creation of the human, which of course was a spiritual being here on planet Earth having a human experience. So that's really what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is that we have rediscovered, uncovered all the stuff that covered up the truth of who we actually are. So what does that really mean? Well, I'm going to share here the diagram, which was given to me to be shared way back in September 1993. Actually, no, I tell a lie, it was the middle of 1983. The early summer or late spring. And this is what is called the I Am diagram. And this was shared with me by another individual who is departed this scene, called Dr. Jan de Vries. Now, the de Vries family have given me permission to actually carry on this work and sharing that diagram, which I've slightly modified with their permission, to make it easier for people to understand. So just to hold that up again, we're born like that. So what we actually have here is the I am within, the soul, the heart, the mind, and the body. And then these other aspects of the various layers. Now, this is how we're born. And this was the original intention for us to live like that. And what do I mean by that? For us to live like this, as a spiritual being on planet Earth having a human experience. So the yellow shaded area is the human experience, which is outlived by, or lived out by, expressed by the body and the mind and the body. So the inner self is the I am, the soul and the heart, which is the truth of who we actually are and what we actually are. And it's expressed through the body and the mind. So hence a spiritual being here on planet Earth having a human experience. Now, what actually happened then, by default or by design, was this, that the inner I am presence, the soul and the heart, was covered up. So approximately in this Western world that we've been subjected to or coexist with, by around about age 20, 21, the soul and the heart and the I am presence is actually covered up. So effectively what that means is that we are now living the life. It's like being plugged into the matrix. So we have surrendered, if you like, given away the control of our lives to something or someone else outside ourselves. And what does that mean? Well, what that actually means is that we are no longer being true to who we actually were 20 odd years ago, before we were programmed or educated out of it. Now, I say this respectfully, completely not really respectfully, because I was there. And I remember actually at age 14, I actually asked for, could someone please show me how to still my mind and remember who I actually am? In other words, be still and know. And for those of you who are aware, who watch these, you're aware that I was brought up in a Christian home, but neither Protestant or Catholic in Ireland. And that's like hen's teeth. It's like non-existent. But yeah, Christian home, but neither Protestant or Catholic. Now, I have complete and utter respect for both sides of the imaginary spectrum, if you like, of Christianity, total respect. However, what we're going to get into in a few minutes is how to be able to use meditation to be able to take the beliefs that serve us, i.e. for our higher good, and bring life to those through meditation, which builds the bridge between beliefs and spirituality, and be able to discard those disempowering beliefs, destructive beliefs, fear-based beliefs, dogma, etc., 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 patriarchal stuff, which was designed by default or by design, I just said it, set up by default or by design to have people be controlled. Anyway, what is now happening is that the spirit of humanity is arising. That I am within, which is the spirit, is arising. So that I am is arising through the soul and the heart. And the soul and the heart is actually awakening, rising up, which is basically saying to the altered ego mind, because this is what has happened by age, certainly by age 20, 21, where the ego here has become so altered that it is in effect controlling, like an egomaniac itself, the being, and it's a self-saboteur, a saboteur of the inner self. So it's an egomaniac and it's egocentric, but doesn't realize it. So it's so actually being programmed into its state of dependence and codependence. It doesn't actually realize it. So it's a bit like in conversation with somebody, actually yesterday, one of my clients yesterday evening, where the truth is actually perceived as the lie, and the lie is perceived as the truth. In other words, everything's turned upside down. So what happens actually is this. That's what happened to me. That perception of the upside down world, or that perception of the external, the body and the mind, is all we actually are. So the body and the mind is the way we identify ourselves, or we are identified by and within the world. So the human is a body with a mind. And the human is someone who has a name. And the human is what they do and what they have. Well, when we take away the false identity, as I call it, the false identity of who we actually are told we are, and what we're told we are, and why we're here, when all that's taken away, what do I mean by that? Well, that which we are attached to or are addicted to is removed. Or we lose, as what happened to myself, the emotional and mental capacity to pursue or to enjoy those things that I was attached to. So whenever we lose our health, emotionally, mentally, and physically, what happened to myself, total nervous breakdown, well, we don't have the energy to pursue the false identity or the persona anymore. So we're stripped right back to what? We're stripped right back to the inner self. So we got to rebuild our lives again from the inside out. See that? Best thing that ever happened. So we're rebuilding again from the inside out. So why am I going into this in some detail? I'm going into this in some detail because this is exactly what's happening now. For individuals, it's been happening for a number of years, many years, 20, 30, 40 years, but also it has now started to happen with the collective. We are in the beginning stages of the biggest collective awakening ever in the history of mankind. The awakening, please remember, the awakening is preceded by the breakdown. The initial stages of the awakening of the collective, or the collective awakening, is the collective breakdown. Now, an individual, when they have gone through the breakdown and they've got through to this awakening stage, there is then a thing called a civil war. And the civil war is between the head and the heart. The civil war is between the soul and the mind of the altered ego. The civil war is between the me and the I am that is within. Civil war. It's the battle, the proverbial battle for supremacy. Okay. So prior to the awakening, or prior to the awakening, we had been lulled into that false sense of security and that false sense of identity, that false identity, which is the body and the mind. When in actual fact, the truth of who we actually are is that I am, and you are, a spiritual being, a love and light being, manifested through the soul, the heart, the mind, and the body. So the false ID entity has got to be broken down. Now, That then allows the spirit to arise. And as the spirit arises, that creates the civil war between the two. So the civil war between the inner self and the outer self, i.e. the mind, altered ego mind. The intuition and the intelligence or the information. The insightfulness and the perception of that which seems to be real. So all kinds of civil war goes on. And what that effectively means is that we begin to question everything. Which brings us to the journey of self-discovery, inner self-discovery, true self-discovery, which brings us to the seminar, for example, the seminars, the books, the CDs, the watching the YouTube stuff, or the alternative, and including the alternative practices, the alternative healing arts, the therapies, and many people actually who get on this journey, they actually go into the healing arts themselves. And what I have observed in the last year or so is that many people who have gone into the healing arts in, maybe 20, 30 years ago, they did so in their objective in healing other people really was the roundabout way to healing themselves. And now what is actually happening, they're being shown loud and clear. You must heal yourself before you're going to be in a position to carry on your practice. Healthy self, heal thyself. That's exactly what's going on. So this awakening stage is the most vulnerable and crucial stage of that 5-step process. And that 5-step process, believe me, requires incredible courage. Because people have got to go through this, get out of here on consciousness, get into the breakdown, which is hell on earth, believe me. Absolute, because I went through it. To arrive at this awakening stage, and then this is where the civil war starts. So the middle stage, we have left over here, we're heading over here, and the middle of that is like the middle of the bridge. So moving from over there, the false identity, to the truth of who we actually are, the uncovering of the stuff, uncovering of all of that, the uncovering of the false identity, to recover the truth of who we actually are, discover it once again. That's the objective, to go from being lost to being found again by our true selves. And the middle stage of that is the awakening, civil war. Now, I just want a couple of wee things before I move into discussion about meditation. People are feeling when they get into that stage that they're between two worlds. Absolutely. Betwixt and between. It's kind of like, that term, no man's land. They don't know whether they're coming or going. Absolutely. Because the mind is wanting to pull them back. And those that they were attached to, the situations and the people that they were attached to in the previous of their lives when they were struck in amnesia, is wanting to pull them back there. And then their inner self, the soul and the heart, and their I am within is whispering and talking very loudly at times to draw them further and further away from where they were of fear and lost, home to the truth of love and light beings. So the civil war is very intense. Now, it also becomes more intense whenever people actually start to pull them back. But they don't realize what's going on unless they're incredibly careful. And for us to ensure that we stay on the journey, home to the truth of who we actually are, we've got to stay connected to the source of who we actually truly are. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is through the use of meditation, hence the reason for this video. How can we recover the truth of who we actually are in here through the soul and the heart if we are not listening on a daily basis, connected to that voice and responding to that voice. How can we? So responding to the promptings that come from within. How do we do that? We do that by stilling the mind. Relax, I am within. You know, the biblical, in biblical times, it was known as be still, or the Christian tradition, those of you will remember. It's a line in the 46th Psalm that says, be still and know that I am God. Well, modern day version of that is relax, I am within. Okay, so relax, I am within is the same thing as be still and know who we are. So for us to rediscover who we actually are and to uncover who we're not and uncover what we're not, we have to come inside. It's called go within. So where do I mean by go within? I mean go within to here. And that's meditation. So what is meditation? Let's get into that. All meditation actually is no more and no less to retraining the mind to be still and to be in its place. And what is its place? Its place is no more and no less than to be a tool for the expression of the I am that is within, the soul and the heart, expressing the true self through the mind and the body. That's it. So does the ego have a role? Absolutely, it has a role. The ego is the human experience aspect. There. The ego is the human experience expressed via the body. But the spiritual being requires the ego and the body for the expression of the truth of who and what it is, which is love and light being. So the ego has a place, of course. Okay. So this is it. It's so simple. It really, really, really is so simple. But it's incredibly important that we stay connected. First of all, we get connected and we stay connected to the source of that power. If we disconnect, we have disconnected from our true selves and the truth of who we actually are. Now, I'm going to ask a couple of questions here. Number of questions. I want you to imagine trying to boil water with an electric kettle. But the electric kettle is not plugged in. How could you boil water with a kettle that's not plugged in? How effective would the kettle be? What would the kettle be? Only a mere shadow or a mere ornament of its true self. It's the same with the human. Connected to its power source, the I am within. In other words, when the human is like that, it's not being at all. It's a doing. It's a having. It's a wannabe. It's a wasing. It's caught up with the fears, all the fears of the future and all the regrets of the past, never being present. Like a kettle that is unplugged. Bedside lamp, or this table lamp here in front of me. What is it if it's not plugged into the source of power? What is it? It's no more and no less than an ornament. But when a lamp or a light is plugged in, it shines. It demonstrates its use, its function. When we are disconnected, when the human is disconnected from the source of who it is and what it is powerless. Absolutely. It is effectively giving away its power to something or someone else outside itself. So it becomes a puppet on something or someone else's string. How does that feel? Huh? It's a very unpleasant feeling. So when we've had enough of that unpleasant feeling, we feel, well, it has to be more. The breakdown kicks in and then the awakening. And the more we feed the inner self, the more we feed it on a daily basis. And I'm going to ask another question here. How much time do we as humans spend in feeding the physical body? How often do we do so on a daily basis? 3 meals a day and the in-betweens. Here's a question. How much time are we taking out on a daily basis to feed the inner person, the inner man, the inner woman, the inner being? How much time? To invigorate ourselves, to inspire ourselves, to be inspired, to be invigorated, to be empowered, to be in control of our own lives as opposed to something or someone else controlling our lives. This is what meditation does. Being still, stilling the monkey mind that is never present, 30,000 thoughts in the past, 30,000 thoughts in the future, never being present. So what meditation actually does is retrains the monkey mind to be still, to be quiet, and to stay there. And that's the objective of the Relax I Am Within sticky post-it notes, or the post-it sticky notes up all over the place. So it reminds us to be present, be still, breathe, and remember who we are. That we're not this stuff that's going on in the head. We're not the thoughts. Or we're certainly not somebody else's thoughts, unless they are in harmony with the truth of who we are. Okay, so hence that's what I was getting at about how meditation can actually assist people in bridging the beliefs, that which is real and true, and to be able to discern and decipher that which is untrue and that which is lies, that which is dogma, that which is fear-based, that which feels right. Period. Feels right. Okay. Something that was said to me 21 years ago, whenever I was first of all introduced to meditation. Samuel, any day you don't go within, any day you don't go within, you're going to go without for that day. I'm going to say that again. Any day we don't go within and stay within, here, we're going to go without for that day. Let me ask a question here. Can we afford to go without the inner guidance for one day? Can we afford to go back to being in amnesia, to all that pain and all that false identity, all that suffering, all that unconscious crap that we were in? Can we afford to go back there? Haven't we had enough pain, perhaps? Staying connected. I call it staying connected, directed, and protected. How can we have the direction from source or the direction from our intuition if we're not connected to the source of that intuition, of that inspiration, of that innate inner sense of knowing? Yeah, connection. And then we get the direction, and the protection comes with it. It's so simple. It's so simple. Now, let me say this. It's much easier staying there, staying connected and directed and protected, than stopping the connection and losing the direction and losing the protection, and we get back. This is why this third stage of the ascension process, the awakening, is absolutely crucial. That we're true to ourselves and we listen to our intuition and we respect ourselves implicitly, and we stop listening to external influences and our own ego head, our own altered ego, which will bring us down rabbit holes and bring us down cul-de-sacs, or worse. Not a good idea. All right, so let's move forward. Benefits of meditation. Enable us to achieve and maintain a healthy work-life balance. Achieve more, but by doing much less. Can you imagine that? Achieving more, but by doing a lot less. A 15-minute meditation in the morning or 15-minute relaxation, full body scan, from the top of the head, you visualize from the top of the head to the feet or from the feet to the top of the head, and you scan the entire body. What that actually does is puts the balance of the left and the right brain into alpha frequency. It lowers the brainwave frequency from the burnout stages, which are 15 to 75 cycles per second, roughly, and brings us back down to that 5 to 7 cycles, which is the perfect balance between the left and right brain, as we were as children, where we didn't have a care in the world, where we lived in a wee world of our own. Well, how good would it be as adults to be there? Like what was said, the 5-year-old, when Aunt actually asked the 5-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the 5-year-old said, that's a strange question, Aunt. Bemused by the question. That's a strange question. Who else would I want to be, only who I am now? Yeah. So where did the adults go wrong? Huh? Let me be frank about this. The children on this planet are waiting for the human adults to catch up with them. And let me say something else. The animal kingdom and Mother Earth are waiting for adult humans to catch up with them. It will be a wonderful day, when human doings and human havings and human wasings and human wannabes, adult humans, catch up with the children and catch up with the animal kingdom and Mother Earth. It will be a wonderful day. Just as someone said 2,000 years ago, thy will be done in and on earth as it is in the spiritual realm, as it is in heaven. Absolutely. That's where we're headed. And that's what this ascension process is all about. And this is why meditation is absolutely imperative. In fact, I'm going to say it. We ain't going to make it or survive unless we do. Because the human has been pushed out of mind. It's losing its capacity to operate with mind only. Look around. The collective breakdown is happening to make way for the collective awakening. In the same way as I had my own personal breakdown to make way for my personal awakening, which preceded the breakthrough and then on into enlightenment. And each and every one of 7 billion souls are going to go through this process or not. They're either going to make it or not. And excuse me for being really straight. Yeah. And this is what's going on. The changes are happening more rapidly as each week goes past. And we either embrace them by looking in the mirror and saying, for things to change, I must change. In other words, as Gandhi said, be the change. Don't expect anybody else or the government to change or the states to change or the religions to change. Don't expect that. We change. So when we change, we recover the control of our own lives as opposed to somebody else controlling us. Be like the child. And maybe that's why that individual said 2,000 years ago, allow the little children to come to me, for of such is the kingdom. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. So what is meditation? Meditation is retraining the adult human mind to be as we did as kids. That's it. In other words, authentic, real, no agendas. What you get is what you see, and what you see is what you get. Not the false persona, not the plastic false ID entity. Get real, get a life. Whose life? Our own life. Yeah, meditation does that. Be still and know who I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that you are. Yeah. So still the mind and know, which is basically still the mind and remember. That's it. So what else does meditation do? Logs off the brain, stopping the mental chatter, and enhances natural sleep, reducing insomnia. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever had that experience of going to bed and you toss and turn because there's something bothering you about the past or the future? How wonderful it would be just to be like the dog or the cat or the child, fall asleep in seconds. Yeah, switch the head off, log it off, or chop it off. That's a bit terminal. Don't need to do that. But we're being pushed and pushed and pushed by this world, and pushed and pushed. You know, stress. What is stress? Stress is actually over concern about something in the future which may or may not happen. Worry. Here's another question. If we remove worry and stress from our lives, excuse me, remove worry and stress from our lives, what about the worry lines? Will they go away? Absolutely. So you want to look younger and feel younger? Get into meditation. Remove the worry and the stress from our lives, and that away go the worry lines. So look and feel younger. Yeah. Excuse me. A 15-minute alpha state meditation has the same effect on the body and the mind, the entire physical body and our mind, of 4 hours sleep. So let's add this up. People want 8 hours sleep. All right. 15 minutes meditation in the morning, 15 minutes meditation throughout the day or in the evening. There you go. That's another 8 hours sleep. You want more sleep? Get into meditation. You want to look better? You want to feel better? Get into meditation. So how do we do it? Okay. Very simply, sitting with the back straight, preferably the back supported with a cushion or something behind the back, small of the back. Keep the back and the spine straight. Breathing in through the nose. Why is that important? Because you may have noticed we've got 2 nostrils. One goes to the left brain, one goes to the right brain. They cross over. So what actually happens is the air, which is the consciousness, you know, without air, we're dead. You ever wonder why it's called the respiratory system? What's the root word of respiratory? It's spirit. Don't take my word for it, check it out. The breath of life is known in Latin as spiritus. I'll say that again. Check it out for yourself. The breath of life in Latin is spiritus. So you know how I like to split up words, spirit, us. So when we learn to breathe again properly, we're reinvigorating our spirit, the I am that is within, the soul and the heart, the truth of who we actually are. It's that simple. Is it that simple? Yes, it's absolutely that simple. Learn to breathe properly. Breathing in the outer life and vitality, the pranic air and the breath, the spirit. We breathe it in, the I am consciousness. And we breathe it in deep and we breathe it out. So we breathe in vitality and energy and prana and chi, and we breathe it out. So it's a continual circle. Try stop breathing and see what happens. That's exactly what happened human adults. When human adults got into fear, they stopped breathing properly. What do I mean by that? They stopped using their full capacity of the lungs. You know, you can check this out for yourself too. Put your hands actually above your kidney cage. Your kidney cage, well, just above your kidney cage is your 2 ribs, you know, the ribs either side. Well, that's protecting our lungs. But the vast majority of adult humans are just using the top 20%. Because when human goes into fear, it stops breathing properly. So you want to get over fear? Start breathing properly again. Hi, Matthew. See you've just joined. Great to have you with me. Thank you very much. Terrific. Matthew, for those of you who are listening, Matthew is my co-founder, or our co-founder, of the Awakening Academy. And the Awakening Academy is the live webinar and Q&A sessions which are starting this Saturday. Online support groups to help people through the awakening and the ascension process. What an honor and a privilege. We're going to have some fun. But you know what's most important? We're going to have some fun helping those people to return to that place of fun, giving them the tools which we have proven in our lives and our fellow facilitators, giving them the tool, giving other people who are ready the tools, like meditation, like affirmations, when and how to do it, when and how to use affirmations, and many, many more things. Holding people by the hand as way showers to help people on their way, to help people understand that they themselves are the guru. We're not the gurus. GURU is the person in the mirror. But what our role will be, and the function of these videos and the function of the live webinars and Q&A sessions, is to empower an individual or empower individuals all across the world to take back control of their own lives, to become their own gurus. Period. That's what it's all about. Okay, so moving on. If you hear something in the background, it's just an alarm. Okay, so what else have we got? Oh yes, EOC Institute. For those of you who want to understand the brainwave frequencies, there is a thing called a wonderful website called EOC Institute, where it describes the brainwave frequencies, what meditation actually does, the benefits of it, etc., etc., etc. Now, I will give the link to that wonderful website, which I highly recommend to all my clients and friends alike. I will be giving that in the links below. Question was asked recently, or a number of people have been asked, what meditation do you use, Samuel? What meditation do you recommend? Well, I happen to very much love Wayne Dyer's I Am meditation. Why is that? Because it's absolutely in line with what we're talking about. The I Am meditation brings us back in here, brings us into the core of the source of who we truly actually are. The I Am meditation. It's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, or preferably do the full 20 minutes plus 20 minutes in the morning, and that sets us up for the entire day. Connected, directed, and protected. Okay. Now, I will also be given the link to that below here as well. All right. Okay, so we've covered the posture, we've covered the respiratory system. The respiratory system, just a quick recap, the root word of respiratory is spirit. When we breathe the breath of life, we're reinvigorating our spirit, which is spirit us. We're reinvigorating the spirit of humanity, learning how to breathe again and being still and knowing who we actually are. All right, so other benefits when we return to the truth of who we actually are, which is inner peace, love and joy and contentment within. Unforgiveness, regret, guilt, and all that, those negative, toxic, destructive emotions of the past. It's like light coming into a dark place. And you know, when light comes into a dark place, dark has no power over it, period. Because all dark actually is no more, no less than the absence of light. But when light shines into the dark, so when love actually penetrates these fear-based emotions, they disappear. Equally, fears about the future, the anxiety and the stresses and the worries and the concerns, over-concerned about the future, same thing. Because what meditation does is, of course, brings us into the present. This is so simple. You know, we're beings, not wasings, and not wannabes or will beings. We're beings. What does that mean? Being present. When we're over there in the past, we're not present. When we're over there in the future, we're not present. So learning how to breathe again, relaxation and meditation brings us back into the presence, because the only thing you and I actually have, or any of us actually have, the past is over, the future mightn't happen. So, hey, be here now. The alternative of being here now is being nowhere. Now, Being now here and nowhere are exactly the same letters, but the difference is being nowhere is where the head is. The head is going nowhere fast, down a rabbit hole, down a cul-de-sac, or worse. Being now here, as in being here now, being present, has all the answers, all the solutions are within. So if we're looking for answers and we're looking for solutions, the answers are within. Go within. We don't need to go anywhere for the answers. Because in actual fact, if we go outside or we go up into our head, we get a myriad of questions. We get a myriad of problems. So when we've had enough problems or enough questions or enough searching or enough going out there for answers, when we've run out of emotional and mental physical energy searching outside, call the breakdown, then we come home to the truth of who we actually are, who and what we are, which is within. So all the solutions and all the answers are in here. But how are we going to get them if we don't actually spend time in here? Now, here's another one. Let's say, for example, we're looking for love. And this is what I touched on about relationships. Could it be that everybody's objective in a relationship, as I was in a relationships, pursuing relationships, looking for love? Yeah. So everybody's looking for love. Where? In somebody else. The other half mentality, searching outside for love. Well, let me ask the question. How would you feel if someone came along to you searching for love and they drain your love and they drain your energy and they say, thank you very much? How does that feel? And the flip side of it is also true. The flip side is, how would they feel if we drained their energy, their vitality, their love? We say, thank you very much. We leave them drained. How would we feel? Well, here's what happens. What goes around comes around. So we stop doing it. If we're looking for love, look in the mirror. The eyes are the windows to the soul. I am within is love. Another question. How can I share, or how can you share that which we do not have within or have not yet rediscovered to share? How can we share something with someone we have not yet rediscovered? How can we share something that we don't have? So this whole perception of relationships are going through this whole relationship saga or scenario is going through unprecedented challenging times. Why? Because the answers were never out there in the first place. Looking for love is not in anybody else. It's not out there. It's in here. So when we rediscover love through stilling the mind, which is fear, and the opposite of love is fear. So whenever we get out of fear, we return to love. When we get out of the false persona, the personality, and the body addiction or attachment, and we return to the truth of who we really actually are, which is a love and light being, then we are in love. So we have love to share then. So how can we share unless we have it within ourselves to share? So relationships become connections. So the relationship, the new relationship, is not at all to do with anybody else or number of people. It's not at all to do with anybody else. The meaning of the word relationship now is the relationship between the head and the heart, the relationship between the ego and the soul, the relationship between the me and the I, the relationship between the left and the right brain, the relationship between the internal self and the external self. And whenever we fall in love and when the head actually becomes at one with the inner self, there's no more civil war. So we have literally fallen in love with ourselves. That's the relationship. So once we've got that, then we've shifted our frequency to a much higher frequency, and we have arrived at this place of being a spiritual being here on planet Earth, having a human experience, which is a love and light being love and light. We have arrived at that. Our vibration has shifted from low frequency fear to high frequency love and light. Then we attract other love and light beings, being love and light. Then we attract other love and light, delightful, love-filled situations and people into our lives. But where does it start? It starts with the person in the mirror. Whether I am vibrating at low frequency, which is of the head, or high frequency, which is of the soul and the heart and the I am within, will determine whether I am attracting fear-based, fearful people and situations, or love-filled and delightful, full of light, enlightened people and situations. This is so simple. So when I change, my world changes. When you change, your world changes. So our objective as way showers in these upcoming webinars and Q&A sessions is to provide the tools for people to be in love at all times. Eventually to stay there and be in love, to be in light. In other words, to return to the truth of who we all actually are, which is spiritual beings here on planet Earth having a human experience. That's it. That's the plan here, folks. So, you know, our role as way showers is no more and no less than to take those people by the hand who say, could someone please help me? Could someone please help me who knows how to get there, who has got there themselves? Let me ask another question. Before SatNav, you wanted to get somewhere, what did we do? We asked directions. Well, who did we ask directions of? We asked directions of someone who knew how to get there or was actually there themselves or knows how to be there and get there. Let me ask a real straight, very, very, very simple question. Would you ever think, how nonsensical would it be to ask directions from someone who actually has read about how to get there but has never been there? Has got an intellectual head knowledge of what life is about, but no life experience, hasn't been through the stages of the ascension process or the awakening. So a way shower is someone who knows how to get there and helps other people who are ready and stick their hands up and say, I'm done. Could someone please help me? So that's it. We are all in this journey together. Our objective is no more and no less to help each other come home. Come home. That's our plan. The plan, the only reason why we come to this planet, by the way, is to remember who we are, what we are, and why we're here. That's it in a nutshell. Every incarnation that we've ever had, especially this one, because we can't do much about the ones we had. We do everything about the one that we're in now. I'm not particularly concerned about the past lives. The only thing I'm concerned about is that I clean up the crap from the past lives so they don't have to come back again. Yeah. So remember who we are, what we are, and why we're here. Now, so let me ask another question. When's a good time now to actually do something now so that we get it now? If you know what I mean now. I.e. being present. Meditation trains us how to be present. Be is present. Being is not wasing or will being or wanna being. Being is present. Presence. The deepest meditation, which I'm going to share, that I have experienced and use, Wayne Dyer's I Am meditation, brings us into that inner stillness of inner contentment of the presence of source, otherwise known as Great Spirit, otherwise known as God, otherwise known as Allah, Jehovah, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It's actually I am that I am. That's what it is. All right. It's just gone 9 o'clock. We've got about, well, kind of finished, are we? I want to finish on this, actually. Yeah. Very dear friend of mine whom I met nearly 21 years ago. 20 years ago. Francie Murray. Francie Murray is a key and leading individual in the Alcoholics Anonymous, otherwise known as the AA, here in Northern Ireland. And he discovered meditation over 40 years ago. And when I met Francie, it was one of those instant recognitions. Within 30 seconds, we knew each other. We had this amazing soul brother connection. And he discovered meditation 40 years ago, and every single day ever since, Francie has taken the time out to meditate, as I have done for the last 21 years. I will not allow myself to go through a day without the meditation. I cannot allow myself, neither will Francie. And those of us who are in meditation or into meditation, we have trained ourselves to live in a constant state of meditation. Does that mean we're walking around with our eyes closed, or we're sitting in a yogi position or in the Buddha position all the time? No, we're being like the child or the dog or the cat or everything else in creation, being present. So all meditation actually is, I'll say it again, is to retrain the adult human mind to be present, just as we did as kids, in a wee world of our own, with all that vitality and energy and creativity, with not a care in the world, no worries, mate. All right. So what Francie actually did through the use of meditation and affirmations was able to heal himself, and I say heal himself, from diabetes, from asthma. And the doctor said he needed 2 new hips, but he was able to heal that too. So the healing benefits of meditation is because, you and I weren't born with these degenerative illnesses. Quite frankly, that's the truth. We weren't born with this emotional and mental disease. We weren't born with the physical diseases and the degenerative diseases that, quite frankly, a lot of it has, yes, some of it's genetic, yeah, because we inherited the unconscious thought patterns at a subconscious level of our forebears. That's what genetics actually is. It's emotional and mental toxicity. But yeah, so we come back in with like a clean slate. So we come back in, we arrive on planet Earth again with a clean slate. There's the clean slate. So the objective actually is to get back to that clean slate. And let's build our lives and have the exterior of our lives be an expression of the clean slate. And that's why many people are going through this detoxification process, emotional and mental, physical detoxification. Well, we never remove the emotional and mental and physical toxins unless we actually get inside and empower ourselves from the inside out to kick out the crap and stay there, just as Francie Murray did, as I did. So I'm going to share and finish on this. The Peace of Meditation. This is a piece that literally Francie wrote. The Peace of Meditation, that is P-E-A-C-E. So that we may know God better, that we may know the I am that I am better, and feel its quiet power, let us daily keep in silence a meditation hour. For to understand God's greatness, for us to understand the I am that I am, or the Great Spirit, or whatever term you want to use, God's greatness, and to use its gifts each day, the soul must learn to meet that presence in a meditative way. For our Father, Mother, Great Spirit, Holy Spirit tells its children, you and I, that if we want to know its will, we must seek him in the silence, where all is calm and still. For nature's greatest forces are found in quiet things, like softly falling snowflakes drifting down like angels' wings, or petals dropping soundlessly and quietly from a lovely, full-blown rose. God comes closest to us when our minds are in repose. So let us plan with prayerful care, prayerful and meditative care, to always allocate a certain portion of the day to be still and meditate. So be it. Absolutely, so be it. Thank you, Francie, for such a wonderful piece. Absolutely. Now, Francie is going to be co-facilitator, mentor on the live webinars and Q&A sessions as much as he possibly can. Francie actually is a gentleman of 78 years young. He has the mind of a child, the spirit of a child, childlike, Christ-conscious being, but his body is 78. So we are mindful of that and respectful of that. But Francie will be, you've heard of Francis of Assisi. Well, this guy's got the same spirit, the same energy. So we're very honored and privileged to have Francie be with us. So just to finish off, we will be hosting our first live webinar Q&A session this Saturday, the 14th at 11 a.m. Is that Eastern time? Certainly it's 4 p.m. here in British summertime, 4 p.m. British summertime. So 5 hours back from that in Indiana time, where Matthew David Manai actually is. Hi, Matty. Again, where we will be co-hosting this at 11 a.m. in the US. It's, Saturday EDT. Saturday EDT is 11 a.m. Saturday EDT, 11 a.m. this Saturday, and British summertime, 4 p.m. Okay. I don't have much more to share apart from it's been an honor and a privilege to do this. It's been an honor and a privilege to have your company, and it's an honor and a privilege to you, those of you who will listen to it in due course. Thank you for being who you are presently, but most importantly, thank you for who you are becoming and what you are becoming. We would love to help anyone who feels ready to help themselves in the same way as mentors and wayshowers who cared for us, more so perhaps than we cared for ourselves, until we learned to care for ourselves, until we learned how to meditate, until we learned how to go within, until we learned to feed the inner man, the inner self, and to become so focused on the inner connection, the inspiration, or insightfulness, that the mind eventually became at one with the inner self to become wholesome one self. It's our prayer and our desire to help as many people as possible achieve the same thing, and I trust that will be the case. Thank you. Namaste. Heart Talks.